Nice. I got a lot of likes. Again.
Damn. Guess mine sucks.
Oh my gosh. So inspired.
Okay, let's just keep using the same old dirty brush. I'll go right into a little bit of vent.
There's an array of creative platforms for people to indulge in. Some of them start before they can walk, some start in the middle of school, or some even start late in their life. But being placed in a world where the constant expectation is to get to work, grow the hell up, and grind till you hit the sack, that might seem like a gloomy expectation. Thus leads into a problem of comparing your constant free expression to the progress of numbers. It's not like there's a very friendly way to sing full-time or paint your portraits when you feel like you have to get done. Naturally, that translates into your mindset as an artist. The obsession of analytics when it comes to your art can not only impact what you love to do, but also how you feel about it. With artwork, many people can deem what they make not important because of its reception or how much it does in a short amount of time. Something you may have spent eons on underperforms, and it causes you to think otherwise, kind of like, my Starry Night didn't make $1,000 tonight, so that means it's worth nothing. Whether it's on IG, Twitter, or any other place that typically platforms artists, it can feel pointless and underwhelming.
Numbers are a massive thing on YouTube. We got views, subscribers, likes, dislikes, even the YouTube Studio, which is supposed to help you understand your audience, read your comments, etc. Now shoves in your face every number comparison you can think of. If your latest video has the most views out of all your recent uploads, you're rewarded with green arrows everywhere and some cute little confetti. But if it's not getting that many views, YouTube is gonna make you feel bad about it. Suddenly, 10,000 views feels like a failure. Your video is the worst performing out of your last 10, and it's all your fault.
Oftentimes in mainstream media, i.e. the music industry, people measure the impact and the quality of a body of work based on how many sales it has, despite if it's simplistic hits for an H&M, or if it's a body of work by a group of 10 who experiment with newfound sounds. This is how they treat mainstream media, and often the same exact way for people who don't get any airplay anywhere else, like performing on the street. That's harmful.
Blub 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 blub, guitar noise.
Hey, how many plays do you have on Spotify?
It's a Spotify.
But why do you create? Why did you start creating? Well, while numbers are a whirlpool, something that can breed obsession and constant pestering, people can start creating way before that's even a care in the world. Some people begin a creative pathway at a part of or the start of their life because they were inspired by an event or somebody else. Or even they got inspired just because they were. Perhaps they felt a calling and an artistic spark that gave them the urge to make something new and indulge in what they felt within their soul. There could have been a kid out there that started sketching for fun because they liked what they saw. Or someone started filming because they loved the camera and loved sharing their stories. In this situation, that someone was me. When I was a kid, I loved the art form. I started writing at the age of 8, a little one who would pretend to write his own books and get into his own stature. I wanted to express my emotions and tell stories. I then transitioned that love into filming myself doing things, and I continued to pursue both at the same time. It was pure. I'd make things and share them with my little friends and family, wanting to do nothing more than enjoy that creativity in all its purity. But it was the number obsession and money necessity in adulthood that took that away from me. It wasn't the same as soon as that came in, and it takes away from the sincerity that you had from the art in the first place.
I literally started creating because as a kid, I wanted to see things that didn't exist yet. You know, like Charizard vs. Walgreymon. Ever since then, drawing has become a way for me to materialize my thoughts, feelings, and ideas into a visual format, which can be fulfilling, exciting, or relaxing, depending on what I feel like creating. However, it gained a new purpose for me as I grew up. Feeling lost and shackled by mental health as I inched ever closer to the working world, art came in clutch yet again as I carefully molded it from just a hobby into my job. And for the first time, I was forced to consider the numbers. The numbers issue gets a little complicated when we start to think about those situations where numbers technically do matter. Like when your entire job is based around getting above a certain amount of views, yeah, it makes sense that you'd care about the numbers. But I think it's important to make a distinction here between monetary value and artistic value. It is very hard to separate the two considering they're so intertwined in society. We're led to believe that hard work is rewarded with monetary value. The more you work, the more you earn. But that's not really true, is it? Some of the most labor-intensive jobs are minimum wage, Well, if you're lucky, you can be born into a family which happens to already own a lot of capital that you don't have to do much to reap the benefits of. Money is not a good representation of value, and art is an excellent example of that. I'm sure you can think of a piece of art that sold for millions or got featured in a museum that you personally don't really care for. On the other hand, you can probably also think of a drawing or something that you got from a friend that very few other people would see the value in as much as you do. That's something really important to keep in mind if you're turning art into a job.
Of course, if you're churning out art, you have to figure out what the value of it is to you, and of course, to others. Was the value always the monetary gain from the get-go, or was it charged from the heart? Look at this here. A 6-year-old could have drawn this. But I did. And they could have done this freely of their own love. Now you take this cat and upgrade it to something made by a little bit of an older age, and it could be the same substance, the same value to them and to others. Maybe someone even makes it their profile picture for funsies. But if you simply measure it by the amount of dollars it can earn you, or the daily statistic, it is no longer your piece. It is now a number, an obsession, when it could have been a personal attachment at first. On second thought, do you guys like this?
No.
Yeah, I love it.
It sucks.
Truly valuing the statistical and the monetary gain of your art instead of your previous personal attachment just breeds a newfound cesspool of toxicity. You become hypnotized, spiraling into the shapes of, I need this to do well or it means nothing.
A telltale sign that the numbers obsession is getting toxic is when people start putting down other artists as a response. Complaints about silly sketches getting more attention than fully rendered artwork make the rounds online constantly. And while the initial frustration is understandable, you gotta take a step back and question, is it really this silly artist's fault? As much as I agree that beautiful, fully rendered art pieces deserve just as much attention, or even more, than silly doodles, it's the internet. Of course, people will interact more with funny and relatable, crudely drawn comics versus a fully rendered piece of your OC. You probably do too. Both types of art can exist, and if you believe a certain kind of art that you value a lot deserves more, you should be putting that energy towards supporting and bringing them up, instead of putting down those you value less. People get so caught up in numbers being unfair that they forget that no artist was born with 10k followers on Twitter. Even if you don't understand why they might have more than your favorite artist, they worked their way up to it and you don't know how many years they spent on that.
Sometimes it's about connections. Some people have connections. They're boosted by somebody else, or even have been doing things for a minute where those numbers just come up on their own. Someone making a personal Mona Lisa for 16 hours and someone else sketching their character nude may get a vast different amount of likes. That's because their platforms are different. Although social media really promotes the obsession of performance, don't let that obsession take away from your Mona Lisa. Even she wasn't globally loved until centuries later. Not only drawing whatever you wish, but this aspect applies to literally everything in the history of anything ever. Someone may publish a collection of different travel spots they've filmed in a beautiful wedding video, but don't even crack a third digit. Someone could write something that is subjectively, or if we want to judge academically, an amazing novel that deserves the New York Times bestseller sticker, but it only sells a few copies. Or an album that touches somebody's soul and it just rocks.
Small creators often expect to post their work and instantly be judged fairly, when in reality there's a lot of factors at play. If you post something after a 6-month break, it's probably gonna get less interaction. It doesn't mean your stuff got worse, it's just people naturally leaving the site over time with no one to replace them. It is getting more and more difficult to grow as these platforms become oversaturated, but your frustration should not be directed towards fellow creators who are just trying to get their work seen.
So why are we judging things based on their performance? Valuing things based on what the number is next to the title is nothing but harmful and lifeless. It turns a display of love into a blink and miss statistic.
Meow 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 meow.
But what am I supposed to do then?
If you actually listened, like I was literally already answering that exact question, like
Okay, sorry.
that was so rude, dude. Honestly, you gotta accept the fact that if you're making niche art, you gotta be prepared to work harder to get somewhere with it. Evaluate what's more important to you, making what you want or getting numbers. and try to find the balance between those that works best for you. Having a better understanding of how the platforms you're using actually work helps a lot. For example, knowing that getting 10 likes on a post while you have 1k followers is normal. Everyone has dead followers, as people naturally stop using certain platforms, forget their login, etc. Especially if your account is old, the discrepancy is going to be larger, and it's normal. It doesn't mean everyone started hating you. Similarly, keep in mind that views are affected a lot by trends, but trends come and go rapidly. Some even go through random bursts of popularity way after they originally became known. A post you made that initially flopped can blow up years later because that topic became a trend again. So if your art doesn't find its audience right away, it's not a lost cause. There's no shame in resharing or reposting an older piece of work if it's relevant to the current conversation.
Just because something you made was posted at a certain point doesn't necessarily date it. Your creativity, your expression, is timeless. It can be shared at any point given the circumstance. The climate of art and numbers gives a feeling that things are dated after a while because they aren't part of a trend, or have already run their view course. The algorithm just doesn't care anymore. But that isn't necessarily true in the slightest. The heart you put into something gives it a spark for as long as you care for it. The lifeline for something you made was within you in the first place. If I really want to stretch it, a vent poem you wrote at age 12 can still have the value because your emotions were valid then, so your creativity should still shine through. Although that may be a reach, you get what I'm throwing. A beautiful ballad you wrote 6 months ago should still be relevant to you now without the numbers and without the time passing by. Never let the aspect of commercial relevance take away from your love. It's all about you, and it should always be you.
Try to appreciate what you do have. Sometimes smaller numbers can be a good thing. It's easier to interact with fans, and you know that they appreciate you for your work and not just cause you're popular. You may have bigger goals in mind, but where you're at right now is still part of your journey. While you work towards your ambitions, you can enjoy those aspects of being a small artist along the way.
Despite the way the world works, your hobbies and stars in the sky are not just digits on a screen. Your art is not defined by numbers, and neither are you, and it should stay that way. Hey, so Spotify is actually this music platform that allows you to post your music anywhere. It's the biggest one in the world too. It's a great pathway for people to be able to access your talent easier.
Instruments, blah 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 blah. Blah 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 guitar blah 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 blah.
Thank you to my patrons, Quiz, Lucy, Yosari, and Mimi Dix. Catch you all next time.
Guitar noise. Instruments, blah 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 guitar blah 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 noise blah 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 music, really good music blah 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 blah. Also Spotify.